Supernatural first introduced us to brothers Sam, Jared Padalecki, and Dean, Jensen Ackles, Winchester in September 2005, and 20 years later, it remains the most iconic CW TV series of all time. Ackles and Padalecki, along with the show's creators, have frequently discussed how much uncertainty there was in the early days of the series. Ultimately, Supernatural exceeded everyone's expectations, running for 15 seasons and just as many years. Even after the Supernatural finale in 2020, many fans were devastated to see the story come to an end, and there are still calls for the show to return in a 16th season or spin-off series starring the original leads. The cult following Supernatural amassed over its decade and a half on air was no random anomaly, though. On the contrary, from the beginning, Supernatural set itself apart from its competitors, and that originality, along with the show's inventiveness, heart, and adaptability, secured its spot as the CW's greatest show of all time. 20 years ago, Supernatural debuted and became one of the most fun shows on TV with its September 13, 2005, debut. Supernatural immediately established itself as a charming, funny, and sincerely entertaining show. It didn't necessarily distinguish itself from similar series at its inception, but it was clear from the very first episode that Sam and Dean Winchester were going to be beloved characters. The pilot also set the tone for the show, which from the jump managed to strike a balance between heavy themes and light-hearted humor. After all, the boy's mother dies in a horrific way at the beginning of the first episode, but only a few scenes later, the two are wrestling each other and cracking jokes. That same duality was present even during the most somber of storylines, ranging from major character deaths to moments when the brothers had to confront the traumas they'd experienced over the years. Through it all, hilarious gags and now iconic lines kept the plot and overall tone feeling buoyant, even as the show broke viewers' hearts again and again. That combination actually proved to be an essential element of the show. Had it felt too comedic or unserious, it wouldn't have had the profound emotional impact that kept audiences so engaged for 15 years. On the other hand, if Supernatural hadn't infused comedy as often as it did, it would have been bleak, and therefore, an entirely different show. Supernatural cemented itself as a game-changing series as time went on. Sam and Dean on a game show in the Supernatural episode Changing Channels. As Supernatural went on, it took bigger and bigger risks, many of which paid off. In fact, several of Supernatural's greatest episodes are the ones that deviated significantly from the standard style and tone of the show. Installments involving the trickster, Richard Speight Jr., like Changing Channels and Mystery Spot, are fan favorites because they are so creative. Both episodes also showcase Supernatural's willingness to poke fun at itself and other shows. For example, Changing Channels sees Sam and Dean sent through a series of fictional TV shows, including Dr. Sexy, MD, which was a parody of Grey's Anatomy. This is a particularly funny example, as Supernatural had just been moved into a competing time slot opposite Grey's. Supernatural was just as quick to make fun of itself and, affectionately, its fan base as well, be it through the introduction of the Supernatural books within the show or the episode The Real Ghostbusters, which featured a Supernatural-themed convention packed with obsessive fans. This playfulness was certainly a factor in what set Supernatural apart, but it's not the only strength that did. Even compared to other, similar series at the time, such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer and The Vampire Diaries, Supernatural felt truly unique thematically. Whereas many comparable shows featured romance-heavy plots, Supernatural was really about brotherhood, family, and self-sacrifice. That isn't to disparage either of the other shows whatsoever, both are popular for a reason. However, Supernatural's unique focus on this lovable but also incredibly complex brother duo, and, eventually, themes as weighty as morality itself, set this show apart and created a loyal following that has stood the test of time. Supernatural reinventing itself is the reason the show lasted so long. Sam as Lucifer and Dean in Swan Song Supernatural. No matter how popular a show is, a 15-year run is no easy feat, and the ability to adapt and reinvent itself is yet another reason Supernatural is such a standout show. Culturally, the difference between 2005 and 2020 is considerable, but Supernatural found ways to adjust to the changing times without losing its magic. Initially, Supernatural followed a Monster of the Week structure, particularly in Season 1. With time, however, the show built an overarching narrative. This was especially true of Seasons 1 through 5, which became an in-depth storyline featuring several of the most prominent biblical figures, including Michael the Archangel and Lucifer. This culminated in the Season 5 finale, which was actually intended as the original ending of Supernatural. There was reasonable concern about whether the show could successfully continue from there, especially because, in addition to that larger story arc concluding, creator and showrunner Eric Kripp left after season 5. Debates remain regarding whether it would have been better for Supernatural to end there, although many argue that some of Supernatural's best episodes, such as The French Mistake, came in later seasons. The success that Supernatural had for a full decade after the show's original ending is a testament to its ability to pivot. Yes, the initial Lucifer and Michael arc was done, but each season found new overarching storylines, from Dean's struggles with the Mark of Cain to the return of God himself. The 10 later seasons also introduced some of Supernatural's most beloved characters, which underscores how ingenuity kept the show alive and popular for so long. The CW series has become the network's most iconic. Sam, Jared Padalecki, shaking Dean Winchester's, Jensen Ackles, hand in the Supernatural series finale. The CW had several popular shows over the years, including the previously mentioned Vampire Diaries, along with others, like Arrow and Gossip Girl. However, when it comes to the CW's most iconic show, there's just no competing with Supernatural. Even now, 5 years after the show's conclusion, Supernatural conventions continue to draw huge crowds multiple times a year. In addition to that longevity and staying power, the story of Supernatural and the actors and characters were, frankly, lightning in a bottle. That's clear enough in light of multiple Supernatural spin-offs struggling to gain traction, one of which, The Winchesters, even featured, and was created by, Jensen Ackles and focused on John and Mary Winchester.